Hi everyone, I am Nadig, a principal software engineer, and today I want to talk about data governance in AI-driven banking. When you think about automation in finance, think back to 2008, the global financial crisis. We didn't have generative AI then, but we had algorithms making decisions with opaque logic and incomplete data. Fast forward to today, AI is exponentially more powerful. It's approving loans, flagging fraud, and even advising investments in real time. The difference? We don't govern that AI. We risk repeating 2008. But at machine speed, remember. So yes, today's talk is about the least exciting word in AI, governance. But ironically, it's the one thing that keeps AI from becoming tomorrow's headline. So let's dive in. In the last decade, banking has quietly become one of the most robotic industries on earth. In 2016, for instance, JP Morgan introduced its Coin platform, a contract analysis AI that completed in seconds what used to take lawyers 360,000 hours a year. Around the same time, fraud detection models began processing billions of credit cards transactions daily. AI isn't the future of banking, it's already embedded in its nervous system. Think of the last time you got a transaction alert before you even checked your balance. That's AI driven robotics in action, scanning, predicting, reacting, all governed by data pipelines we rarely see. But there's a catch. 80% of the financial institutions say data governance is their biggest barrier to scaling AI. The average deployment delay is 6 to 9 months purely due to compliance reviews. When GDPR took effect in 2018, several major banks had to pause their AI projects for months just to trace how customer data was flowing into machine learning pipelines. One European bank discovered 30 different versions of the same dataset being used across models, none with consistent consent tracking. Remember, consistent consent tracking is the key. That's the governance gap. AI moves at milliseconds, but our controls move at human speed. Without governance, AI innovation turns into AI improvisation. And in banking, that's expensive, not tolerable. What do we do about it? The legacy systems fall short in several parts. They are not designed for business intelligence. They are slow, batch oriented, and blind to model lineage. Remember the word model lineage. The first generation of governance tools emerged in 1990s. They were built for static warehouses, monthly reports, and Excel exports. Then came AI pipeline, dynamic, constantly evolving auto-retraining models. Those old systems simply can't track what happens inside a neural network trained across 50 data sources. For instance, when LIBOR scandal broke in 2012, regulators demanded proof of data lineage in risk models. Most banks couldn't produce it. They couldn't because their systems had no unified trace from data origin to decision output. Why was this decision taken? What was the input data used? That's the kind of gap modern AI governance must never repeat. So here we are introducing the unified framework to address this. We want to build a unified data governance framework engineered specifically for AI-driven, robotics-heavy banking systems. It embeds governance directly into AI lifecycle from feature engineering to model deployment and monitoring. It has 4 pillars. Metadata management, where it's the central catalog for every single data asset and model. Then comes lineage tracking. This is super important. Every transformation, every dependency visible end to end. Then comes quality monitoring. Any automated drifts, anomalies, bias, and performance checks have to be performed at rapid speeds. Finally, the cloud native or sub 200 milliseconds query response, tracking 5,000 or 10,000 model updates daily. Because fraudsters move quicker, AI has to be on top of that. For instance, if you followed the UK's open banking rollout in 2018, regulators required every participating bank to log data movement and consent lineage. That same philosophy, transparency through traceability, is what this framework enforces. But for AI systems, it's less like a gatekeeper and more like an air traffic controller, ensuring thousands of AI models take off safely without colliding. Then comes security. Security is the other half of governance. The 2020 SolarWinds breach reminded us that software supply chains can become invisible entry points. For AI, the equivalent risk is data lineage hijack, when upstream data is tampered and silently corrupts the models and the output. So, what do? We want role-based access control for tens of users. We want full audit trail for every access event. We need integration with enterprise identity systems. Let's take examples. The framework we build has to support GDPR, CCPA, Basel III, and BCBS 239. For instance, it mandates risk data to be accurate, complete, and timely. That's nearly impossible without automated lineage and validation systems. For instance, when European Central Bank audited credit models in 2022, the number one failure point was missing lineage between feature data and regulatory reports. So governance isn't paperwork, it's survival in banking. Let's jump into a real world case, for instance. A tier 1 global adopted this unified governance framework in 2025. Within months, they achieved 30% faster AI deployment, no manual compliance bottlenecks, 40% stronger audit readiness, traceability became automatic, 100% compliance across GDPR, Basel III, and BCBS standards. And here is an interesting anecdote. During an internal audit, the regulator asked them to trace a fraud detection model back to its training data. In 2019, that would have taken weeks or months, even months. In 2025, the answer came up in 0.3 seconds through a single governance query. That's not just efficiency, that's cultural transformation. And that's what we are headed towards. How do we scale this responsibility? How do we ensure robotics ready governance? There are 4 pillars if you can think of. Foundation. Build on cloud native infrastructure with embedded governance. Link your AI lifecycle tools directly to governance pipelines. Automation. Continuously monitoring for bias, drift, compliance anomalies. Finally, scale. Expand innovation safely across all AI workloads. An interesting anecdote comes to my mind. In 2012, when Netflix moved its entire recommender system to the cloud, they built observability into the migration from day one. Banking needs to take the same approach. Governance first, not governance later. Here's what I want to leave you with. Governance is an enabler. It doesn't slow innovation, it unlocks it. Again, it doesn't slow innovation, it unlocks it. If we don't follow governance, we end up slowing our business. Robotics demands real-time systems. Governance must match AI's velocity, without which it won't work. Compliance drives trust. That's the cornerstone of adoption. Every financial revolution, be it ATMs in 1970s to blockchains in 2010s, face skepticism. until governance caught up. Today's AI revolution is no different, especially for banking. We are not just building models, we are building systems that society has to trust with its money. So, next time you see an AI approving a mortgage, flagging a transaction, or detecting fraud, remember, behind every intelligent decision should stand an equally intelligent governance system. Thank you.